Hello there. Welcome back to the Senate Podcast. We're on episode number 31, and I'm your host, Caleb Johnston. I'm joined by, who are you today, sir? You are,
I am
you're
Zero.
from Mega Man.
No, from
No, from Mega Man.
Okay, from Mega Man.
Yeah, I'll be Rush. I'm the dog. We don't have time for that. We do have time for is the main topic we're gonna of our episode today. I'm excited for it. You're gonna lead it because you're this is yours. This is your topic right here.
Okay, so we are gonna do. I don't know if we even have a specific number. Let's just like 3 to 5. 27,000. I'm gonna do. I'll do 3, maybe 4, but
Okay.
Yeah. So, dream video game projects. Now, it was kind of last minute a little bit, so it's not necessary. Like, let me say dream projects. We're not entirely talking about like, like if we could create a game, what would it do? It's more like, what kind of stuff would we like to see? That
yes
is from IP mainly, because that's the easiest stuff to imagine rather than create a whole new scenario.
I thought of established IP with us from established teams, because each different teams have their own style. So it's like, what IP do we love that we could see teams with specific styles adapting those IP.
I have 2
in a way
that aren't okay. So you can start. Let me round my
Take it away, Zero. Never calling you that.
I actually think I actually have 5, but like
okay,
a few of them are brief. So do you want me to do those ones first, and then talk about the ones that are more fleshed out?
Start with the fleshed out ones.
Okay. All right. So I thought of this pitch for a game for a while. A while ago.
Explain the genre, combat loop, and like feel of it.
I'm gonna start with this one because it's the only one that's not an IP. But okay, so one of the most popular games, I believe, of this year was a game called Power Wash Simulator, which is really weird.
What are you talking about?
Which is really weird.
Yeah.
Because usually those kind of games don't really generate that much traction. People just kind of, just play them just if they're bored or just want to zone out. But like, people really love this game. I think it was partially because of
it blew up.
It's just like really satisfying to clean stuff. I get, I get it. My OCD brain likes, cleaning something and then seeing it just, change and get fresh. I think that's cool. And then the other aspect of this game that I thought was interesting was that like there are other characters that like send you job requests, and like they kind of talk to you. Like I think like there was one guy where he wouldn't let you into his house until you clean something on the outside of his house or something like that. And like that, like, I didn't know those games could have characters. So let me take it a step further. So this is a video game in that style. It doesn't necessarily have to be power washing, but you play as an established character. He's, like he has a personality, and I don't know if he has a name, but like he's a character, but he's not like,
sort of like the Stanley Parable.
Totally 3-dimensional.
Like that, yeah.
So,
okay.
He's doing these odd jobs. He has a troubled past, of crime. He got out of prison. He's just trying to keep his head down. He's just trying to, stay out of trouble, make an honest living for his, family. He has a daughter or a son, and, he's not with the mom anymore, but, he's still trying to be there, and they're trying to patch things up, maybe get back together in the future, depending on his behavior. So, you spend the first like hour or 2 hours of the game, just getting job requests, like you'll get maybe like 3 to 5 in your inbox, and then you can pick like a few of them that you want, or it would probably be like scripted. So like linear. So like you kind of have to do certain things. And then
I know what type of game this is.
You get
and I know what to call it.
You at some point you get a request from a guy who, upon speaking with him on the phone, he's kind of acting a little weird, a little paranoid. Like,
Okay.
he's like, yeah, just I'll pay you under the table. I can't pay you with credit cards. I can't, send you money through PayPal or Venmo or Cash App or any of that stuff. And then your character's like, okay, whatever. So, he takes the job because he just wants to make money. So he arrives at the guy's house and, the player's thinking, oh, I'm just going to do another job and get a big sum of money because this guy seems relatively loaded. You start walking to his house, you notice that one of his windows is busted. You're like, that's weird. Maybe he got mad. I don't know. He kind of seems like a weirdo, whatever. I just want to do this. You go into the house. He's dead. And then, so the cops come. They start questioning you. And then, so it basically turns into, this like kind of like crime drama. There's like, like a crime, like you take other jobs and you'll notice sometimes that like there's like a mysterious black car parked outside of where you're performing your job. Sometimes you'll like see like this like guy in like like a black jacket, sunglasses, and you're like, that's okay. So I don't know exactly what the story would be, but it's basically like it starts out thinking you're just playing like just a regular simulator game that happens to have a story, but then everything just goes up to 11 and it kind of becomes Grand Theft Auto.
I see what you're saying. It slowly ramps up. Yeah. That's actually really interesting to bring this together because I actually really like that story. It's there needs to be a game like that. There has to be something. Who would you have directed, or who would you have? Develop it.
Let's see.
I said direct because I have an idea of who I want to do this, but
I mean, I didn't. Let me try and pull a name off the top of my head.
I'll tell you right now. I always have a hard time pronouncing his name though.
I would say. Hold on, let me look up.
I want Yusuf Faris to direct this.
I'd say Yoan Fenice. I don't know if that's how you pronounce. Yeah. He works for the company Digix Art. They made a little indie game that I really liked called Road 96.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. That'd be actually fit that.
You play as a nameless teenager who's running away from their country because political turmoil. Where have we heard that before? And you find yourself in really weird situations, and they can either be like fun, lighthearted, or you'll run into this cab driver who you find out is a serial killer, and he can kill you if you make the wrong choices. That happened to me in my very first playthrough.
So I actually I can see this game happening. That's actually a great pitch for a game. So I'm going to jump now to mine because mine is not as fleshed out as that. I do not have story beats at all, but I do have great ideas. You ready for this? Because you got some more to get through.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna drop a banger on you. Have you ever heard of the character named Daredevil?
Yeah.
I'm thinking of a Daredevil game. Now listen, I know, I get it. Daredevil's blind, okay? But it's not a VR game. If it was a VR game, you would just put on the unit and keep it off for a Daredevil game. But this is a third-person action stealth game, and I have some notes here. It is going to be a heavily detailed New York City. So don't think of Spider-Man. Think of something else, because Spider-Man is not as detailed as I want this to be. I want this to be ground level. It is going to be extremely grounded. It's going to be heavy. It's going to think of the Batman games. So Arkham Knight. It's a very detailed city. Now, I don't want Rockstar to develop this. I want Sucker Punch to develop this. Daredevil by Sucker Punch. Here's why. It's going to be heavily detailed New York, right? With grounded ninja combat gameplay with action stealth elements, and is going to be a narrative game. So think of the style of Ghost of Tsushima with the combat and the gameplay, like the jumping around and the stealth aspects, but it's going to be in a heavily detailed New York City. However, he's not going to be the only playable character. All of the defenders are going to be there. It's going to be Daredevil, it's going to be Iron Fist, Luke Cage, and Jessica Jones. So I think Sucker Punch would be great for this because think about it. They do multiple play styles, like the stances in Ghost of Tsushima. So you could be Daredevil and play one way, be stealthy. You can be Iron Fist and play more with martial arts and more technique, actually have a little bit more powers. Luke Cage, you're a tank. You can be him. It's a grounded New York, combat. You're a tank. And then Jessica Jones, you can get into detective work. So it's going to be narrative. It's going to be an open world, but it's going to be, there's going to be a story, maybe some side quests. You can be the heroes for hire. You can take job requests from people and do this. It's not going to be really an RPG. There might be trees and RPG elements and stuff like that and ways to level up and get new moves. So, but I think it would be really cool to see Sucker Punch tackle an IP that's established, because Sucker Punch, they make their own IP. They've made Sly Cooper, Rocket Robot on Wheels. They made Infamous, Ghost of Tsushima. But I think to give them a break and to really give them a hit, a breakout hit that just brings in millions, give them an established IP, and I think a really grounded Daredevil type IP type of game would go over extremely well, because we're seeing Marvel games actually kind of fail, but Spider-Man is a Marvel game that is succeeding, and it's succeeding because it is such high production. So I think kind of get another Marvel IP that has potential. Almost like think of it like Guardians of the Galaxy, like that, but maybe like Defenders and more grounded, way more focused on combat and stealth, like Ghost of Tsushima. So that's my pitch. I think I love Sucker Punch. I think it would be a cool idea for a game.
How would you incorporate his blindness into, like, whether it's the aesthetics of the world or like how he interacts with it?
Maybe like when he is Daredevil, it's just normal. It's like a normal game. But if you want to be him, and you want to actually be disguised as Matt Murdock, then the world becomes maybe like monotone or something. Maybe it gets blurry. Maybe like the focus becomes super like blurry and you can't see as much, but you can get access to places you can't, as if you were Daredevil.
Yeah, imagine like a trail, like a mission where you have to like trail somebody as Matt Murdock, and like everything's purposely like kind of overwhelming to look at, but like you have to like keep your eyes on like the person who is like
target,
who's like glowing like white or like red or something like that, and then like so the challenge,
it's almost
would
like
be
detective
like,
mode, and
so
in Batman games.
The challenge would be like getting the player to like focus really hard on like one specific thing.
And see, that's what I want is it to actually affect the gameplay and have really interesting gameplay elements to it, where it's not just like, oh, this is just another game. It's like, no, these are very interesting characters that can have diverse gameplay styles and elements and mechanics. So I think there's a lot of possibilities. Yeah, like just like detective mode in the Arkham games. You get to see literally his eyes and his visor go white, and everything kind of just changes colors and things get pointed out. Think about that, but in like a Defenders, Daredevil game. So That's my pitch. It gets better from here.
Okay, so mine, it's one I've had for a while, but I've never thought of like a story or anything like that. But it's a Final Fantasy game that's like a survival horror
I love
RPG.
that
Like
idea. Yeah.
you're in, I'd picture it kind of like a Souls game where you're like in a castle or something like that, and like maybe like you just wake up there or something, and like you don't know why you're there, or like maybe you and some of the other people are trying to escape, something like that, and that like so. Like it would have kind of what I was talking about, where like role playing game with like more like weighty combat. So like when you use magic, like it's like it feels weighty, like you're shooting a gun, but like like you're playing as the mage character. When they fire from their staff, like maybe like some of the upgrades were like at first it's just like one shot, and then like eventually you could do like rapid shots, or like a charge shot, something like that. For the guy using the sword, that could feel like a
Is the gameplay like Final Fantasy VII Remake?
uh I'd say kind of more like Final Fantasy 16. I
Okay.
didn't play it, but that's kind of like Devil May Cry ish. So like
I see what you're saying. I
it'd
like
be cool.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. So like for like the guy
A
who
really dark
for like
version.
the guy who uses a sword, because every RPG has one of those. Like it would feel, like that, like very hack and slashy. Yeah. For the guy who uses like the crossbow, it would be like Horizon Zero Dawn or whatever. Like maybe like you could like craft different arrows, like fire arrows, lightning arrows, ice arrows, poison arrows, arrows to like slow down your opponent, stuff like that. Maybe like I stole this idea from a YouTuber from a podcast, but like you play as in Final Fantasy X, there's one of the characters, they're called a summoner, and like they can summon like these like giant monsters. So like if you're like fighting a boss, you could use the summoner, to like summon these big creatures and stuff, and then maybe they would have their own skill tree, stuff like that. And like the teaser that I've thought of that's just been like imprinted on my brain is like like the character is like running through the castle or whatever, and then they like reach like a basement or something, and then they like see a door. They open up the door, and then it's like a close up of Ifrit, or one of the Final Fantasy summons, the big monster, and like he just like looks over and like growls, and then and then fade to black, title card, Final Fantasy VII Ascension or whatever the title will be called, and then a slow, haunting version of the prelude theme that's been in every Final Fantasy. Dun 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 dun. And then the announcer, like Resident Evil, says the title Final Fantasy, whatever, and then bam, there you go.
I can see it. It's like a mixture of the two genres.
Yeah, it's still a Final Fantasy RPG, but it's like like maybe fans who don't like more of the traditional stuff would see this trailer and be like, "Oh, that looks cool."
I'm not a fan of the traditional stuff. I'm not a big fan of the fantasy type, elements. But if it was that, I love the gameplay. If it was like that gameplay with survival horror, or just horror, whatever, I would like that more than the fantasy elements.
Yeah, because it's
really
like
cool.
There's some potential for Final Fantasy to be scary. Like there are like like giant creatures and stuff like that. You know, like there's a lot of stuff in it. I just thought it was strange that they've never, aside from like certain parts of Final Fantasy VII, they've never really leaned into horror.
Yeah, I like that a lot. You ready for my next one?
Yeah.
All right. So, did you know that Daredevil the accident that caused him to become blind. You know, he was a kid and in a car, got into a car crash, whatever, the chemical spilt on him. Well, this is canon. This is canon, okay? The chemicals that hit him also got spilled all over the road and went down the drains of New York,
Oh
down
my
into
god.
the sewer, and got on some turtles, okay? And that created the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So my next idea is not just a Turtles game, but the Last Ronin video game. And it's going to be developed by Crystal Dynamics, okay? Here's my idea. Ready? This game is dimension based. So it's not really New York based because the Last Ronin, it does take place in New York, but it is like a war torn New York. It doesn't resemble, I don't think, like our typical New York you would think of, I believe. But anyways, it's not going to be like, okay, this is another New York game. This game is about going to different dimensions or different like timelines, you could say, because this game is going to be about one turtle that survived trying to find a way to undo the events that got his brothers killed. And by doing that, he's going to be going to other dimensions or other timelines to try to find a way to undo the death of his brothers. So, it's going to be an action adventure game. It's going to be like a fighter platformer type of game. So think of a Horizon game where you have, you know, your spear, your bow, your different weapons, right? Your slingshot, your mines, all that. It's going to be a turtle with a full arsenal. You're going to be in different dimensions. There's going to be mutants. You're going to be able to, you know, team up with mutant groups. You're going to be fighting different kinds of monsters. So think a lot of like Horizon, but it's going to be an action adventure game because you're going to be going to different dimensions. So time travel is not new to the Turtles IP. Going to different dimensions is not new to the Turtles game. So I think if you get Turtles IP, so if you get a game where you get the Last Ronin story, but you really get this one turtle that is just haunted by the death of his brothers, and you play through a game where you get to see him try to reverse what happened, whether it's going to other dimensions to find a way to reverse what happened or going through time to find a way. You know what I mean? I don't have the story elements and, you know, fleshed out, but I think playing a game where you know, you bring some of these sci-fi elements into the Turtles universe where it's grounded, it's dark, it's gritty, it is it's a massive game. You're going to different, you know, it's a very location based game. You're not just staying in one location. You are trekking across like different dimensions. So a lot of people want the Last Ronin to be developed by Sony Santa Monica, the people that make God of War. People were saying that the Last Ronin should play like a God of War game, and that's like the way that the Last Ronin video game is being described as. It's going to play like a God of War. I don't want it to really play like a God of War. I want it to kind of play like the Guardians of the Galaxy video game. If that makes sense. Third person, but I don't really see it being playing like God of War. That being said, you know how like in God of War you travel between the realms? I'm thinking that, but you're traveling between dimensions. Doing stories, doing quests, you know, and it is very narrative focused. You're really diving into the mind of this turtle who is just grieving and wants his brothers back. So that's my pitch.
Crazy, like if like one of the dimensions is just like the like regular Turtles dimension, and like, you know, it's like bright and, you know, happy and stuff, and then like he runs into
he can see it,
his brothers and Splinter, and like maybe like I don't know, like maybe like they know, like
you see
they
it.
like recognize him or something, and then maybe like a emotional moment for him, like, you know, like maybe they would be like, you know, well, like, we don't know you specifically because you're from another dimension, but we're still your brothers, and we would want you to be happy and enjoy life. You know, like maybe like he
Yeah.
kind of like learns like even if I can't undo this, I don't have to like just sit around and wait until I die. You know, like I can rebuild. I can find happiness.
So to play off of that, I think that that is a natural story element that you have to have because you're almost a bad guy unless you realize that.
Yeah.
So I think if he realizes that, he will go on to, spoiler alert, they're making a Last Ronin 2 book, and the turtle that survives learns that lesson, and he becomes the splinter to 4 new turtles.
Oh, cool.
So imagine that the game, as you get through the game towards the end, you realize that, and you raise up, you become the splinter, you become the master finally by learning that,
That'd be crazy.
and then you continue the legacy. That's my pitch.
That sounds great, actually.
Okay, there we go. It gets better. Just wait.
All right, so mine is probably
The ninjas aren't over with. They're coming back.
this is probably the weirdest one, but we all love Mario. Why do we love Mario? Because, you know, he's bright, colorful. He's a happy guy, you know. He jumps, he goes, wahoo! He's always having fun. Even when he's having trouble, even when he has to go rescue his woman for the umpteenth time because she doesn't want to take karate lessons or buy a gun or something. He's still enjoying life. He's just happy to be alive. And you know what? That's admirable.
It's true.
But
He's loving life.
what if we had a Mario game that was a little sad? What if we had a Mario game that, you know, wasn't all sunshine and rainbows? Rainbow roads, if you will. So my pitch is not quite as gritty as the source material that I'm kind of referencing in the name, but Old Man Mario.
That's
Think
amazing.
about this.
Hold on.
So
Hold on.
it's the Mushroom Kingdom.
Yeah.
Bowser won.
Oh my
They couldn't
goodness.
stop Bowser in some conflict. Everything's laying waste. His kingdom, you know, he's the top dog. He's the dictator. He, you know, if you don't follow him, he's going to lock you up, put you in a mine, put you somewhere, help make you build his empire. Mario, he's still living in the Mushroom Kingdom, somewhere in a forest or something. You know, he's keeping his head low. You know, it's just him, Yoshi, Luigi left because, you know, from everything that happened, you know, he almost had a nervous breakdown. He just had to go on a journey, find some peace. You know, he left Mario a way to get in touch with him because, you know, it's still his brother. He's not just gonna leave him hanging forever. Him and Peach haven't been on great terms, you know, because Peach realized what we all want her to realize, that the people you love aren't always going to be there to save you. Sometimes you got to save yourself. You know, Wario, everybody's gone. Toad, gone. I'm not saying they're dead because it's still a Mario game. We don't want it to be super gritty, but the only person he has is Yoshi. But Yoshi's,
We'll say they're in another kingdom.
Yoshi's starting to get old. You know, they don't live forever. You know, they're like any other animal, any other creature. So, you know, maybe like in the opening of the game, Yoshi passes away. Yoshi passes away, and he couldn't find a female Yoshi. So there's no baby Yoshi. He doesn't even have Yoshi anymore. You know, so it'd be basically Mario. You know, like a new threat, like maybe. You know, like maybe like Bowser's starting to get. You know, he gets like sick or something. You know, his health is starting to go. So his kids,
he gets the Koopa flu. Yeah.
His kids, you know, they're like concocting some kind of scheme to help save their dad's life. You know, so they're wreaking havoc, maybe finding one of the few places left in the Mushroom Kingdom that Bowser hasn't managed to conquer. You know, some like far off place, and you know they're gonna go tear that place up because they have what the kids think they need to save their dad. Mario catches wind of this, and he nearly escapes with his life. And in that moment, he's like, you know what? I need to do something about this. I could still do something about this. I'll find whoever I can find. I got Luigi. Maybe Peach, maybe we can't get back together, but she'll fight by my side to save this kingdom that she once served to protect, because she's still the princess in my eyes. Dang it. And, he reunites with Wario.
This is beautiful.
Waluigi, all them, and it's like a last stand, a last hurrah to stop Bowser's rule once and for all and bring justice back to the Mushroom Kingdom. After 20 plus years or whatever of not knowing who he was anymore, of losing himself, he's finally gonna say one last time and forever, it's a me, Mario.
Developed by Hideo Kojima. That's beautiful. I don't even want to say anything. I don't want to ruin this moment. That is an amazing pitch. Is it a 2D side-scrolling game? After all that intro, that entire emotional intro, it's 2D. It starts playing the upbeat music.
No, it would be like kind of like Mario Odyssey, like open zone. Like there's, I don't know if it necessarily be like collectathon heavy. It'd probably be more story focused, like Mario RPG or like the Paper Mario games, something like that, basically.
Yeah.
But like
I was picturing the Thousand Year Door, which is a Paper Mario game, but I'm picturing the Thousand Year Door, but if it was like normal Mario and not Paper Mario.
Yeah. Like you'll go into like towns and stuff, and like like you'll help like some of the side quests will be like helping, some of the people there, like, I don't know, like find some happiness. Like maybe one guy's
rebuild.
Like, I got separated from, my family or whatever, like a long time ago. I don't know if they're even still alive. I thought all of you were gone, but since you're not, could you help me find, and like, you'll get like certain scenes like that of like, like you're like slowly bringing joy back to the Mushroom Kingdom and stuff like that. So it would be, basically like,
and Bowser like enslaved all of them, and you like obviously beat Bowser, and you free
Bowser's
a lot of people.
Basically, Fidel Castro. Yeah. In this story, like like he's.
I was gonna say he's basically Pharaoh, and Mario's Moses. Let my people go.
I mean, kind of like, and then like maybe like at the end of the game, Bowser's children are finally like, you know what? We're the only characters in this story who never bothered to find our own path. We've just done what our father told us because he's scary and we don't want to tick him off. But you know what? Screw you, Dad. We don't care about you. You're a crazy bastard. We're going to go do what we want to do and find what we want to do in our lives. And then like maybe they don't like join up with Mario and his crew, because I don't want it to be that optimistic, because they've still helped Bowser commit
layers.
many more.
Yeah, there's
but
layers.
like like they basically leave on neutral terms where it's like, we're gonna let you go, but if we ever catch you doing anything again, we're never gonna let you go again. So
they just realized that Bowser's a pawn and he's following the orders of the Emperor, who in the story is Luigi.
Oh God,
that's where he's been. Yeah, it's
maybe Wario, and then the post-credit scene is just like Wario smiling and going,
"Wow!"
There you go, masterpiece.
That's beautiful. Okay, that is a masterpiece. So my last choice here is, we're talking about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Now I want to talk about some other teenage ninjas. Okay, this is going to be a Cobra Kai game.
Oh.
A Karate Kid game, if you will. This Karate Kid game is going to be developed by Supermassive Games. Okay. It is going to be a choice-based 2D fighter in the vein of Mortal Kombat. But the story in between the fighting in the single player is going to be choice based. So I have it here: choose your own dojo. You're going to start out as a teenager, and your choices matter. Who you become friends with, who you decide to fight or not fight, who you decide to have join kind of your alliance, whose dojo you join, what training style you pick will affect it. There's going to be multiple dojos. You're going to, have to. The goal is, to win the All Valley, all of that, and your choices matter. But then once you get into like the actual matches, it becomes a 2D fighter like Mortal Kombat, where you have your front punch, front kick, back kick. Your specials, all that. So I'm thinking of, and you might even have open areas where you can walk around. So I know Mortal Kombat's strictly 2D, but think of supermassive games where you can walk around, slightly in an open, environment where you can walk around, you can kind of engage, you can talk to people. Think of a typical supermassive game, but once you get into the fighting, it becomes a 2D fighter. It's simple, but you understand.
I think that could be cool. Like, would it be like it'd be all the Cobra Kai characters, right?
Yes. So it would be I'm picturing it would be the Cobra Kai characters, but I'm picturing it taking place after Cobra Kai. So Danny, Johnny, all of them, they're older. Like they're missing. Like Danny is Mr. Miyagi's age, and the kids from Cobra Kai are now gonna be the people training. It's just like the next generation of it.
Well, if anybody would do a playthrough of that game, and they would talk to Daniel LaRusso, and he would like try to give them some like sagely advice, and they would choose the dialogue option where they basically told them to shove it. That person is a sociopath, and they're not to be trusted.
Exactly. So like think about that. You can choose, like you can be an Eagle Fang, you could be part of Cobra Kai, you could be part of Miyagi-Do, you could be a part of a new dojo that will be created for it.
This game hinges though on how the final season of Cobra Kai ends, because for all we know, Cobra Kai might eventually not exist. It kind of seems...
Well, that's the thing. With this game, they could bring it back. A new person could take it up. There's endless possibilities.
Yeah.
Or you could have the choice in the game to end it yourself. You know what I mean? It's going to be very choice-based. Will you come out the winner of the All Valley, or will you come out the hero? Think of Robbie. Robbie lost, but in reality, he was the hero.
Yeah.
So, your choices.
You could choose to visit John Kreese in the nursing home and smother him with his pillow. No,
exactly. Pull the cord.
Your time's up, old man. How many times do we have to teach you this lesson, old man?
Yeah.
All right.
I think it's simple, but it works because we're overdue for a Cobra Kai game. They have that. They actually do have that 2D fighter
like
out.
2D,
but it's
beat 'em up or something.
It's like a mixture between a 2D arcade fighter and a beat 'em up. But you know what I'm saying. You need to have something narrative, choice based. Literally, I think Supermassive would be perfect. They would just need help with the combat, and that's my final pitch.
All right. Well, I'm gonna end. Speaking of choice based games, I've had the idea for this forever. So, Telltale Games. They're not who's going to be working on this project, by the way. I'm just springboarding.
Is it a Peppa Pig Telltale game?
Yeah, you could
Serious?
You could choose whether or not you want to drop your stupid British accent. No, I'm kidding. I'm just kidding, British people. No, so their early games were revolving around existing IP. They got Jurassic Park, Walking Dead, Batman.
They did Back to the Future.
That game's... I played it for a bit. It's not great, but
That's why I didn't say Telltale Games for this.
Yeah, so
My pitch.
but that was one IP.
What are you thinking?
That was one IP that I always thought would be great for Telltale-based choice dialogue style storytelling.
What is
They
it?
did Batman, Guardians of the Galaxy, which I love those games. But I was like, man, Telltale should have done a Spider-Man game. So this isn't me. Telltale's not doing a Spider-Man game,
right?
This isn't them, by the way, because I don't. It would be just like a whole lot of quick time events and stuff, and that would get really old really fast for Spider-Man. No, this game is going to be developed by a studio who recently did a Marvel game that involved making choices that influenced the story in some surprising ways that actually mattered.
Mm-hmm.
Guardians of the Galaxy, Eidos Montreal,
yes,
Spider-Man game. So, it's just basically like, I'd say like
it has to be young,
like
Peter.
either high school Peter or like young adult Peter, high school or college.
Yeah.
So like the gameplay would be, I mean, a little bit like the Insomniac, but I mean, like fast, fluid, classic Spider-Man stuff. But like you can choose not every little thing, but like there would be moments where it's like, like say you have a date with Mary Jane, but Rhino's rampaging or whatever. You could choose to go stop Rhino, or you could be like, I think Iron Man's in the area. I think the Hulk was seen around here. I think Captain America has business. They can handle it.
Send Nick Fury.
I'm going on date with Mary Jane. You can choose, how you want to talk to J. Jonah Jameson when he's insulting Spider-Man, chewing you out. You could be kind, Peter, or you could tell him to shove it. You could, there's certain moments where, you don't have that much money. Aunt May is struggling with, a bill or something. You could choose to lend her some money, or you could just pocket the money because Aunt May's always pulled through. Aunt May always makes things work. I don't have to give her everything I have. I could keep a little for myself. You could choose stuff like that. And then when you get the black suit in a possible sequel, you could ramp that up even more.
What if your choices, like if you choose to, whatever, you get the symbiote. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then if you get the symbiote, you can choose to give in, or if you choose to be good, it takes you away from the symbiote. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of overused at this point, but like that would be great to incorporate in something like this. Yeah, so like
morality system.
You get a few endings, not like 20 different endings, but maybe like 4 or 5. Like a few bad. Like everybody hates Spider-Man because he's slacking, but everyone loves Peter. Peter. You've been spending a lot more time with me lately, Peter. I'm so happy. I'm so lucky to have you in my life, Peter. But everybody freaking hates you. Everyone hates Spider-Man, or everyone loves Spider-Man. Spider-Man's on top of crime. Criminals,
Peter's
don't
a nobody.
But Aunt May's mad at you, but she obviously isn't going to throw you out of the house until you become an adult. Then maybe she'll be like, hey, Peter, I don't think this is working out. Go screw yourself. Mary Jane breaks up with you. Harry Osborn, he freaking hates you. Stuff like that. So, like, just take, because I always thought, like, I think Guardians of the Galaxy, I love that game, like I said, but they didn't need to do that game. I don't know why it exists. That's not a property that lends itself to that. I'd say Batman does, because Batman and Bruce Wayne are such like the duality of, like him putting on the face as Bruce Wayne, but really being Batman is interesting. And I think they implemented that
Telltale
really well, especially in the second season. Oh my God. great. I love him. But like Spider-Man's really the only other Marvel or superhero property that I think lends itself to that. So I'd say, just make that
Yeah.
game, implement these choices, and then, like have the player.
I think you could do a Superman game like that too.
Yeah, like, because
Balancing Clark Kent.
one of the reasons people love Spider-Man is that he's, really relatable. He's probably the most relatable superhero. So make a game that really makes the player feel like Peter, like, I really messed this up, or I really did something good when I, chose to do that. So I've wanted this game for probably over 10 years, honestly, and I'll raise the money and I'll make the damn thing myself.
Here's why that works, and that would be an amazing game. Everyone's going to be like, oh, Insomniac Spider-Man's the best. It's just the best version we've got of an open world Spider-Man game.
Yeah.
But here's why your pitch would work perfect. It is so ethic and morality based, which is the biggest aspect of Spider-Man.
With great power comes great responsibility. And the only Spider-Man game that has ever come close to implementing that was Web of Shadows. I really like that game, but a lot of the choices are just like either be a total asshole or be, classic hero Spider-Man. There wasn't a lot of like gray and nuance, so I would make it have
exactly why that would
like
work.
Some of the endings wouldn't be bad or good. It would be like, oh, everything's just kind of fine,
Yeah. I like that. And like I said, like we morality based. A lot of people argue over how Peter should be, if he should be fully Spider-Man or if he should be more of a helper to Mary Jane or Aunt May or whatever. A lot of people argue over how Spider-Man should be, but if you had this game, you could pick and see for yourself. You know what I mean? You would have the options. I think that would fit perfect. Yeah, I like it. All right, so that was 4 for you, 3 for me. I'm feeling good. Those were awesome pitches. I'm going to clip them. That was the main topic. And you know what? I think that's it for the episode. Because that was a lot of content.
Yeah.
And honestly, you broke me after that Old Man Mario. That was the greatest idea I've ever heard in my life. We have some cool episodes coming out soon. I want to do one about games that we love, games that are in our top 10, top 25, whatever. Because I think that's just fun. It's fun to reflect, look back on that, kind of get ready for the E3 and not E3, kind of get ready for the Game Awards, because we're going to be dissecting the games of the year. So before we get into the games of the year, the games that came out recently, I think it would be fun to have a nostalgia based episode where we talk about games that have impacted us throughout our lives.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Games we grew up with loving, games that have left a big impact on us. Before we just talk about recent, news or recent games or whatever. So I think an episode like that would be fun. We're going to do retrospectives, like I said. So, all right, Zero. I wasn't going to call you that, but that's your name. No, your name is going to be Old Man Tony.
I feel like an old man sometimes.
Old Man Tony. So, what'd you think about the pitches? What'd you think about the episode? Give me some final words from the wise brain of Old Man Tony.
I feel like I'm kind of a storyteller at heart. Like I'm always thinking of like ideas for like shows or video games or movies, or like, oh, like what would I do with that IP? What would I do with this IP? I'm kind of like the white Adi Shankar, if you know who that is.
That's an old
man. He's
this
film producer. He's a film producer who like made these like fan film-ish things on YouTube that were like gritty reimaginings of like classic properties. and like he actually worked on this animated show called I actually don't remember the full title. It's like Captain Silverhawk or something. It's basically like he got like a bunch of IP. So there's some Ubisoft stuff like that, and it's basically like reimagining them, recontextualizing them. Like Rayman's like the host of a talk show, and there's a
what a crazy
there's
reference you're going
Assassin's Creed, but the assassin's a frog, like stuff like that. So I think my favorite episodes are where I could just like share some of my weird ideas that
definitely
like possibly happen, but yeah, that's just where I thrive. So this is the
fun exercise.
This is exactly the pick me up that I needed after this crazy 2 weeks of just being sick and playing 999 and slowly losing my mind. So
yeah, I know that it's fun. It's fun to do exercises. We'll have more exercises to do. It's just fun, but I'm glad we could talk about some gaming news because we didn't think this was going to be a busy time of year, but it turns out to be the busiest time of year. I don't know why. Why does everything come out within 3 months? Why does everything come out in 1/4 of the year?
I stopped trying to keep up.
I'll never know.
Whatever.
It's hard, man. It's hard. That's why I just kind of wanted to touch base. So with that, old man Tony, thanks for coming on. It was a lot of fun. We'll have some fun in the future talking about Star Wars and more games. But for now, I think that's it. I think you killed it today.
Thank you.
What an amazing topic. So follow us on our social media, and I don't know what's up with Spotify. Spotify's been having issues. I'm pretty sure I have every episode up on there now. So if you're listening on podcast feeds, everything should be up and available on audio platforms. And then YouTube will be clipped parts of the episodes. So like the topic of the show will be on YouTube, and then maybe some news segments will be on YouTube. YouTube will have more clips. So go to both places. You can find more so clips and shorts on YouTube, and then full episodes on audio platforms. And with that, Tony, leave us with some wise words, and then I'll end it.
Wise words. I don't know if it's wise, but it's something I've been thinking about. It's a quote by the legendary video game writer Kotaro Uchikoshi. Life is an escape game that begins at birth.
What happened to you over these last few weeks, man? What happened?
A lot.
Who are you? All right, thanks for watching, everybody.